This is you. Well, this is an AI representation of you, the person who's watching my videos, and one of you in the very back has lost your forehead and the top of your head. And you've got a problem. You see, you've left comments and questions on my videos, and now I'm going to answer them and respond to your comments. Michael Willis, 4532, says, poor Marley Sprague. She has 6 fingers. So, let's take a real close look at this. She does, in fact, only have 5 fingers, so your analysis is incorrect. We do not see a thumb present. If we could see a thumb, we would say, yes, she has 6 fingers. But she correctly has 5 fingers. So I think your analysis is incorrect. Funny enough, though, when I did put in Michael Willis 6-fingered poker pro into my AI, these are the images I received. And funny enough, when you prompt it for a regular person, you end up getting more than 5 fingers. But when you ask for 6 fingers, you pretty much get everything but that. Andrew Cole says, that cartoon of Brad Hansen at the end is LOL. Well, it's Bart Hansen. And I really struggled with Bart Hansen. Sometimes he looks like Val Kilmer, like in this one. And then sometimes he just looks like a greasy mafia boss. So, I don't know. AI really struggled with Bart. Nikki the dog says, when I first started playing Stones, I thought JFK was an affable guy who ran damn good tournaments. Right after V dropped the bombshell, I texted JFK and asked a real simple question. Is there an investigation into Postle going on because the footage is blatant cheating? Any experienced player could see it. He immediately texted back that it had been investigated by management and found to be no issue. I realized at that moment that he was involved, and any person denying the cheating was either in on it or... I will tell you, he did spend a lot of time trying to gaslight people, and it took me, I don't know, I think it was a week or two until I realized that he was involved. Because up until the moment I went public, I did not think he was involved. I just thought he was incompetent. It wasn't until after I started processing everything that I started realizing that he was involved. Chris Schmidt 3204 said, I was on the live stream twice. I really enjoyed having my friends and family watch me play. On one occasion, when Johnny Vibes was there, I stopped by to tell JFK how cool it was to see Johnny Vibes in person. That's when I noticed that there were cards on his screen. I asked what that was, and he quickly changed the subject. I've only been back to play 1-3 twice since. Really ruined a good thing. Love the content. Yeah, watching him watch the cards live or watching the live stream live was really pivotal. Looking back in hindsight at everything. At the time, I trusted him wholeheartedly. I would have never assumed that he was a part of anything until after I went public and I watched his response and everything started to make sense and be put together in my head. So that was a huge tell. And I think you and I may have not been the only people who caught him watching the live stream live. I think quite a few people saw it, but just didn't think anything of it or didn't realize it was live when they saw it. Now, this is from one of my earlier videos. I Am Amish says, I really don't think that JFK was involved. I think a simpler story is that Mike got the password to the actual live stream from JFK, but they were actually working on the stream. I think JFK respected Postle and probably believed Mike's tales of poker prowess and didn't understand poker well enough to see what Mike was doing, and it was not possible without knowing the whole cards. This one's tough for me. I totally get this perspective, but there's too many gaping holes in the story for me if Justin's not involved. Like, you have to make Justin the worst and stupidest floorman in the history of poker. You have to understand, how many people came to Justin, me, other commentators, other patrons, came to Justin and complained and said that Mike could potentially be cheating. I think a typical person or any reasonable person would have taken Mike out of the game. The fact that he kept Mike in the game and then gaslit the rest of us and then talked about Mike's strategy, what the hell does Mike's strategy have to do with anything? Why is that a talking point even? If you're not involved, why would you be talking about Mike's strategy? Why would you talk about Mike's cash outs in another casino? So I think that your comment was based off of an earlier video before all of the information came out, but I just don't think it's a possibility that Justin wasn't involved unless you're giving him an IQ of like 60. That's the only way. Like, he's so gullible. He's so blinded and unable to see this, and still to this day, so stubbornly against it. When every single poker professional out there has deemed that there was cheating, we've done hand analysis, a deep dive into everything, and he still denies it. Like, he's got to be the dumbest guy in the world who should never go near another poker room again as someone who works there, or he's involved. Either way, there's no way Mike did it alone. Blue Bear says, I'm hooked on the story, but it would be better with literally no visuals than with the AI stuff. Is that a Pharaoh layout? I think I saw a roulette wheel at one poker table. Why not just use still photos of locale and people? Look, I get it. Like, AI is really difficult to work with. It's like constantly raining in a casino and everyone's got like 6 fingers. And then like it's always just this weird visual of a table. Like, AI doesn't know the difference between a poker table and a roulette table and like blackjack or anything. So it mixes everything up. Everyone's got 6 fingers. I just didn't have enough photos of stones and of the things that I wanted to show. And I wanted to tell a story. And I just didn't have the real life photos for that. So I wanted to use AI. And in a way, I thought it was a bit entertaining. Like, I thought it was kind of funny that some of the photos were so weird. And I didn't even show the truly weird shit. Like, here's some of the truly weird shit. It was kind of the best I could do. I followed a few creators that did like different illustrations with their storytelling. And I tried to kind of mimic that. It's not appealing to everyone, but I think it gets the story across. I probably would do a few things differently if I had to do it over again. But, c'est la vie. Elseworld says, I know hindsight is 2020, but come on, looking back, it's still hard to believe there wasn't more noise about this sooner. Okay, sure, hindsight's a thing, but let's break this down from inside the game. Ben's in this photo. Our left, Mike's right. Completely oblivious that Mike's staring at his crotch. And listen, Mike sat next to countless people for 18 months like this, and nobody went public. Why? Because the games were chaotic, wild, and fun. Most of us weren't hyper-focused on his crotch staring. We were playing poker. The few who did notice went to Justin and got gaslit. Even those of us who suspected cheating didn't know how he was doing it because the cameras weren't always on him and the stream viewers didn't catch it either. But commentary, that's where it got obvious. I did commentary on Mike twice in 2019. Once in January with Jake and once in September right before I went public. Since I didn't live in town, I only came in monthly to host my game and do commentary. And that's when it hit me. Holy shit, something's not right. Nobody plays like this. So now I'm wondering, why didn't the regular commentators catch on? Did they notice and get gaslit by Justin too? Or were they just oblivious, buying into the greatest poker player of all time hype? Like Hop Grenade, he spent a year deep-throating Mike's gameplay, spinning it as some genius-level shit. And it's wild to me that it never crossed his mind, like this isn't possible. Hot streaks exist, sure, but outliers eventually regress back to the mean. You don't just walk on water for 18 months straight. And let's not forget, Postle wasn't playing off-stream. He wasn't at the 10-20 game at Capital Casino on Thursdays. How did nobody stop and think, oh, that's weird. Why isn't he playing off-stream? Either they knew and looked the other way, or they were that blind. And honestly, both options are kind of terrifying. Dana Chase says, what I find cathartic about this is the tax bill owed by Postle. I would assume Mike was on the hook to his co-conspirators for something in the area of at least 50% of the winnings. So if he took $200K off a table, he had to pay out $100K. Listen, Linda, I get it. It's very cathartic to think about it that way, but there was something else going on that you're not aware of. So this happened over 18 months, and you can see like some of his cash outs were like $18K and $20K. What Mike Postle did was give girls in the room, waitresses, whomever, $100 to take $5K in chips or whatever the amount was at the time that was just below the taxable amount. And he would have people cash him out for him. How do I know this? Admittedly, I did it once before I realized it was not right. Like, it was not legal. So I was like, I remember telling someone that I did that, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's illegal. Don't do that. So I never did it again. I just didn't know. But he would pay waitresses and staff and other people to cash out his chips. Lots of people did it for him. And so he didn't pay taxes on it. So it's just kind of funny that Justin Kuraitis would be like talking about his winnings and losses and just being so aware of them. But yet, he knew, the casino knew, Stones knew, they had to have known that he was cashing out his chips and having different people cash out like $5,000 at a time. It's incredible to me what the fuck was going on in that place with all the security cameras overhead and nothing was done about anything. Like the dude constantly had girls cash out $5,000 at a time for him and the casino didn't stop him and they knew it because Justin was doing it with him, of course. There's just so much fucking slimy shit going on in there. It's crazy to me. In hindsight, I'm just like, I just can't believe they got away with all of this. Alex Kalanis says, absolute respect to T-Bone. As a fellow professional, watching that hand makes me feel sick. Dude, T-Bone is a force to be reckoned with. He outplayed Mike even though Mike saw the cards in that hand. I'm going to put a link to the 2 interviews I did with T-Bone after the cheating scandal went public, and he breaks down the hand for me and talks about his strategy throughout the hand. Super interesting video to watch. Elsa For You asks, Veronica, is Mike back at Stones? Is Justin still at Stones? I don't think Mike's been back to Stones. I don't know if he's officially been 86th, but there's no way they're going to let him play. I mean, there's just too much heat on him. And Justin Kuraitis was let go of after COVID. And, it's kind of plausible deniability. They let him go for a different technicality. I mean, they couldn't let him go for the cheating because then it's kind of like an admission that cheating happened. So they had to let him go at a later time for other things. BBGC2X says, Veronica, I have a question. If everyone thought he was cheating, how come no one grabbed his phone? I would have grabbed it from his buggy whip arms. I don't know what buggy whip arms are, but when we were playing with him, we didn't know it was his phone. We didn't know how he was doing it. And everyone was on their phones and none of us really noticed him on the phone. And also, no one wants to assault another player. You're not going to grab a phone from somebody. Have you ever just gone up to someone and grab their phone or grab their wallet or grab something from them? It's not a thing you do. Nobody Knows says, so all of you suspected him of cheating. Why not ask him about looking at his crotch all the time while you're playing? Or why not grab or touch his hat? So listen, a lot of people say this kind of stuff. And typically this is coming from someone who sympathizes with Mike. Okay, these are talking points from Mike Postle's people. But you know what? I'll answer it in good faith. So you think I'm going to go up to Mike and be like, hey, Mike, why are you looking at your crotch? And he's like, oh my God, you caught me. Oh my God, you caught me. I'm sorry. I'm going to come clean. I'm going to come clean. I'm sorry you caught me. Is that the scenario you think is going to happen? Or maybe I can confront him in a parking lot and we can get into a fist fight or something. What do you think about logically how you're asking this question and what you think is going to be the outcome of this? There's literal videos of him, hours and hours of videos of him staring at his crotch, and he still denies the cheating. So you think me confronting him is going to somehow change this story? Is going to somehow change him from cheating? And then you talk about the Lance guy. Why didn't I talk to Lance? I had no idea that Lance could have been a part of it. I was not suspicious of Lance until after everything came out. It's the same with all of them. We didn't know. We weren't 100% sure. There were a ton of people telling me that he wasn't cheating, that in a vacuum, a lot of these hands were fine. And then there were some people who were suspicious, but none of us were 100% sure. And on top of that, no one watched the live stream. Absolutely nobody. And there was 3 months in January, February, and March of 2019 where they were just on Twitch. So if you look at those videos on Twitch, they got 100 views, even still to this day. No one's watching it. And guess what? Some of the worst cheating happened during that time. So no one was paying attention. Justin Kuraitis purposely kept this as a very low profile live stream so that they could just use it to vacuum up the money. So I just I don't know where you're going with this question, but I don't think it would have given you or me the resolution that we would want.
One thing I wanted to talk about is he brings up me and how I kept inviting Mike to my game. If I thought he was cheating, why did I keep inviting him? And this was a part of his gaslighting. He would, on a regular basis, anytime I saw him, talk to me about, oh, I was like, hey, Mike won a lot of money tonight. Oh, but he lost like 25K last time. Mike's such a good guy. Like he would always be on the Mike's defense and reminding me of how like there's zero possibility of cheating and how he's had an outside agency come in and check all the security and there's zero chance. And I believed him and I trusted him. And I didn't think he was involved up until like a week after I tweeted.
Yeah, the
So
very last night. I mean,
I
we go ahead. I mean, we beat this horse to death. We all have talked about this several times. We all suspected that Mike could be cheating. None of us were certain. The main reason why none of us were coming forward, why is the reason why I was trying to work with Stones. Unfortunately, namely, I was working with Kuraitis. On trying to get them to look at ways that he could be cheating. Justin at one point tweeted at me, or he had a tweet where he named you, he named Barber, and he named me. He claimed that I told him that I had evidence, and we scheduled a lunch, and then I canceled it. And I tweeted out, I'm like, that's complete fucking bullshit. None of that took place. We've discussed this several times. We all suspected that Mike could be cheating, that these things didn't line up, they didn't add up, but none of us had gone back and watched all the videos and watched all the streams and watched enough hands to be confident about it to go forward and actually stick our neck out there and say, this is what I think is going on. I was trying to work with Stones to get them to look at ways to either catch him in the act, or I still was holding out hope that, hey, maybe we can just clear his name and then we'll go back and later and find out like, oh no, there's all these other hands and he was just wailing off all the fucking time. And we only heard about it from people when it was working, when it was getting through. I never once told Kuraitis I had evidence. I said I wanted to discuss ways with him that I thought he could be cheating, or namely discuss ways that someone could be cheating that we need to check for and look for. If someone had something planted in the booth, phone stuff at the table, that's what we wanted to discuss. And then Kuraitis was the one who, again, we got to give the same story to you, give the same story to Casey, to me. He fed us just a bunch of bullshit. No, he's on a downswing, blah, blah, blah. He tried to talk away some poker strategy. Well, if he was cheating and he knew the cards, then why would he do this in this hand? Again, because he doesn't know enough, have enough poker knowledge. This is something that Matt Holtzclaw tweeted and pointed out rather well. Like, he does not have enough poker, Kuraitis does not have poker knowledge to understand what someone would do if they, in fact, had whole card information, if they had that privileged information. He tried to talk away some poker strategy stuff, and then ultimately it became apparent like that this guy still just doesn't fucking get it. I'm talking to a brick wall here. This is going nowhere. And something else came out, and I was just like, rather than going to lunch and just talking to the wall, repeatedly, I just canceled our lunch meeting. I never once told Justin that I had evidence that Mike was cheating.
John DSO says, I like these. They're well done. One story thread that you left dangling. You sent your notes to Hansen about your Stones meeting, then never followed up with what Bart said, without a loop back. Not really necessary, not hater, just pointing out constructively. You can imagine what he said. He was like, the martingale strategy is not a thing. Like, the LA pros are getting suspicious. Like, something needs to be done. And I think I remember the two of us talking about how we thought Justin was just incompetent. Like, he was just unable to see the cheating. But now in hindsight, it makes sense. Like, he was a part of it. But yeah, Bart, as you imagine, had a pretty regular reaction saying like, none of that is a thing. And Justin is pretty incompetent. Ether Joe says, hey, Veronica, could you do an interview with Billy DeGaff? Let us know what's up with him lately. And beyond that, how about a Veronica and Friends podcast? I'm not going to be doing any more podcasts. Not going to be doing any more like poker media. Gone are those days, like too much scandal, too much shit going on in poker. It's just like off-putting to me. I don't know if I'll do very much anymore. As far as like additional commentary, crossing streams, yeah, I'm just kind of done with poker media. I really like this kind of stuff. I think I might do more storytelling. I don't know if I'll do poker-related storytelling, or start a new YouTube channel, but like this kind of stuff has been pretty interesting to me. So thanks for the comment. N8 Ball says, Veronica, this series is fantastic. Great work. Thank you. I'd like to preface this by saying I 100% believe the cheating scandal, but I don't understand the card changing example. Okay, you don't need to know really anything. You don't need to know anything technical about the play. You don't need to know how crazy Mike's play is. All you need to know is that the cards are scanned in real time. The technician that gets the information about the cards doesn't know if the cards are right or wrong unless they turn them over and they can see that they're wrong. And so Mike's cards got changed without Mike going to tech and saying, hey, my cards were wrong. Because how would he know? Because when you play, you don't know. And he didn't even turn over his cards. So the fact that they changed the cards without any of those two things happening means that they just did it on their own with the assumption of him having 9-8. So they didn't know he had 9-8. They were just covering up for his bad play. Tyler WX, I don't get why the tech guys would show the wrong cards for Mike. How does that help the cheating? He actually has the nuts, but the graphics show he has something else? No, he didn't have the nuts. And the tech crew, you're almost there. The tech crew didn't know his cards. They only knew what was scanned, and it was scanned as 8-6. The tech crew wouldn't have known that it's 9-8. They just made an assumption, and they just covered up for Mike. Barrett's asks, what I've always wondered was how much was Justin's cut? Like, was it 50%? Was it worth it to throw away what seems like a decent paying job? Was it worth it to risk ruining his reputation in the poker world? And where is he now? So I'm assuming his cut was like 50% because he was setting it all up with Mike, like they were co-conspirators. So I'm assuming it was 50%, but they also had to pay off other people, I think. Like, I think they had to pay off Taylor and Lance, and then potentially other people to just keep quiet. So I don't think they actually made that much money, to be honest. But Justin's reputation, I don't know if scummy cheater types like think about these things. I think they're like really short-sighted. I also think that like a lot of these cheating types think everyone else is probably cheating, so they're just like getting an edge on them. So I don't think there's like a lot of long-term goal setting for cheaters, if you know what I mean. Like, I just think they're just thinking in the moment, in a vacuum, how much can they vacuum up? And they probably thought they could get away with it. And what he's up to now, I have no idea. God, I just hope he never steps foot in another poker room again. And I heard he moved back with his parents, so I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Scott Elliott says Berkey looks like he's in prison. Look, okay? I had a hard time with Berkey. I had a hard time with Bart, Berkey, Marley. There's just a few people that no matter how many times I ran the sim, man, it just came out bad. They were all just bad. Crazy Cajun says, did he ever pay people back? Better yet, did Mike ever get charged with anything? Come on. Come on. Are we joking? He didn't pay anyone back for anything. And he never got charged with anything, which is what's the most frustrating part. Boo Term asks, how is Stone still trusted? It's still open, correct? Wiki states he filed for bankruptcy protection. Not sure about that $30K turning out. I don't know anything about the bankruptcy protection. They're still open. They don't have a live stream anymore. That thing shut down like less than a week after I went public with everything. And yeah, they're still running poker there. PH34 Poker says, you're smart. I'm surprised you didn't just say the most obvious probability is that the cops were paid off. I mean, God, I'd hate for that to be true. It just feels like the world is falling apart at this point if like the people who are supposed to be keeping us safe and doing a thorough investigation are being paid off and everybody in the world is a scumbag. Like, I don't know. I'm going to take the line of they weren't paid off. MJ Raymond says, the AI rears its ugly head. Look at the camera face in the background, LOL. I know, like, it's terrible. 90% of what I prompt comes back just wildly bad. Like, terrible. There's cameras coming out of every orifice. There's, 6 fingers, as we all saw. There's just, like, rain inside the casino. It's like, sometimes there's, like, a baby crying at the table. Like, it's just the weirdest shit. My buddy Blue Bear says, have you tried to attach some of his assets and foreclosures on them, satisfying the debt? Not quite sure what you mean by attached to something, but I've tried to put liens on him in different states, but he's a slippery guy. This isn't a question, but I got to shout out 330 Migs, who posts 15-inch poker hard on every single video. Shout out to you, bro. I appreciate the love. Dana Chase says, I've been waiting for this video to ask this question. Did your attorney attempt to argue if Postle had been cheating, then everyone involved in a hand with him was no longer gambling? I agree with that statement. Whether or not the law does, obviously, that if he did attempt that argument, it didn't work because it just got thrown out of court. I think, to be honest with you, between us girls, I don't know if you're a girl or a guy, but, between all of us and the internet, I don't know if Mac was really trying to get to the bottom of this. In a way, he was because, like, he made several attempts, but, like, there's a part of me that thinks all he wanted was a big settlement, and that's all he cared about, not really justice. So, yeah, I don't think that happened. Conscious Conscience says, "You seem to have unintentionally done Berkey slightly dirty in this series. Look, AI doesn't like Berkey. Okay, this picture of Berkey, this is what Berkey wants me to use. But that's also not accurate of Berkey. But, I mean, we all know what he looks like. I, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. AI struggled with it." Tom Raoult says, "Let's be realistic here. Mike didn't make enough to fund more than, at the very most, 3 people to be worth it to be involved in a fraud. Look, I think they thought this was like a money tree. I think they thought that they could get away with this for years. I think they thought they could pull the wool over everyone's eyes. And every penny they got, they spent right away. At least I know Mike did. So I don't think there's much to go around. And I don't think there was a lot going around every month once everything got distributed. So I wholeheartedly agree with you." Guybrush Threewood says, "Wow, his own brother tells us that even as a child, Mike was a cheating piece of shit. Wonder what his brother says about Mike's cheating now. Does anyone know? Has his brother said anything? I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, I would try to hold my family member accountable and try to persuade them to come clean. But they're probably like, 'Oh, Mike, it's okay, big guy. It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong,' I'm assuming." Call Me Cap says, "They're called hole cards because they are kept hidden or in the hole from the other players." You don't say. Okay. Garbozeleski, I don't know how to say that. "I hate to be that guy, but 8-8 is not the second nuts on 9-9-4-10-8. Look, I knew this comment was coming. Okay, a few things, and I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm just going to say it anyway. I wrote this initially as a book, and I was working with a production company to turn it into a miniseries that fell through. But as I was writing the book, I was trying to make it so that people who didn't play poker could understand it. And when I did this miniseries, I tried to use things that were non-technical, but you could easily understand that there was cheating, like the hand changes and stuff like that. And like the boat over boat is a really easy thing to show. And so, like, it's the relative second nuts, okay? But I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. Look, in this hand, he's got the second nuts right now. And I get it. It's not the second nuts. But, like, I just wanted to keep the words simple. I wanted to keep explanations simple. I wanted to show the most obvious things. I wanted to show how obvious the cheating was. And the technical stuff has been broken down by Doug and Joey and Bart Hansen. And so I just wanted to focus on the like super easy stuff to see. And so telling someone who's just new to the game that like, oh, okay, this is a boat over boat, he's got the second nuts in his hand, is just like an easier way of saying it. Thomas Hadley asks, was there talk amongst the commentators that he was cheating? Like when you say, Rich caught wind of Mike's reputation, to Veronica, has Rich spoken about any of this? Oh, so yes, there was talk amongst the commentators about him cheating. So multiple commentators went to Justin and had concerns about Mike cheating, and they were all gaslit, and they were all told that there's nothing happening. And Justin had a meeting with the commentary staff. You can see that in like episode 7 or 8. As far as Rich, like when Rich called with his ace high versus Mike's ace high, he was like one of the only few people who could actually beat Mike when he was in God mode. Mike started getting a reputation about about shoving all in light. Like people were like, "Oh shit, Mike shoves all in when like he's got ace high and he tries to blow people off chops, he tries to blow people off hands." And so he was just getting this reputation of being this like very reckless player. And Rich caught wind of it and called him light. I guarantee you that anyone else does the same thing at the table, which they wouldn't because, they didn't see the cards, but he wouldn't have called anyone else. I think he would have called Mike. Although I'm curious what Rich thinks now. Cushburner says, risk their careers. There were not multiple live streams in Northern California, so it's not like they had many options to do anything remotely similar. That's not the point. You don't just have one job for the rest of your life. But if you get caught up in a cheating scandal and they find out that you're a part of it, your reputation is ruined. If you don't get a criminal record, at the very least, your reputation is ruined. At the worst, you get a criminal record and then you can't get a job. So it's not like it's only regarding the live stream. If they got a criminal record out of this, they wouldn't have been able to work anywhere, barely anywhere. And they definitely can't work in poker anymore. So it's not just a live stream. They can't go work at a casino anymore because their reputations are ruined. Half-Baked says, the Gaming Commission only exists to protect the casinos and not the players. It's long been known. Well, it definitely seems that way in this one, but I hope that's not the case. Toby Fitzpatrick asks, did anyone throw away an 8 or 9 of clubs in that hand? So I think you're referencing the hand where they changed Mike's cards, and I think you're referencing a 9-8 of spades, which is what they ended up changing Mike's hands to. And no, as you can see, no one folded any of those 2 cards. Poker Goat says, can we all just hope JFK isn't in poker anymore? Yes, God, please. Yes, I hope he never steps foot in another casino again. At the very least, he's the most incompetent floorman in the world. BBGC says, legally the agents have to use notepads because their notes can be used as evidence in a trial. And they're also not going to put an iPad or computer into an evidence locker over a set of notes. As someone who works with data and computers, I think there might be a huge misunderstanding here about how computers handle data security and audit trails. The idea that a notepad is inherently more secure or reliable than a digital system, I can't buy that. Computers can keep notes and data just as secure, if not more than paper, especially with proper encryption, access controls, and a version history. You can also get detailed audit logs showing exactly who accessed or modified a file and when. Also, imagine auditing a room full of files. With a computer, you could just run a simple query and get instant results. If the DOJ is relying on outdated methods, maybe that's a part of why they struggled with this investigation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the very end of God Mode this time. I want to thank everyone for watching and your wonderful comments and all of your questions. And always remember that the truth never folds.